Today I'm going to be going over one of my favorite parts about what I've been working on this year, and it's going to be about luxury consultancy. Luxury consultancy is basically me providing my input on how I'd like certain vendors to work with us as the network in producing this batch of or series of handbags that I would like to wear for myself, and then also extending the quantity run towards the people we decide we want to have a part of this project. This would be important to the network because it would reflect what Anna's tenure at the company has been able to afford us in terms of production consents, trust with the scale and weight of the value of each handbag. I feel like this would be one of the larger batches of personal inventory that the network or company is basically saying that they can financially back and produce handbags that Condé Nast and Vogue would be wanting to accredit as like in-house series of products. The working relationship that I found between the network and the vendors was that because we are a media company and we're a magazine, I felt like gallery-driven designed handbags have more creative options. Since there's no reason for either one of us to profit off each other, there was a bit more flexibility with how much the vendors would be wanting to provide in terms of resources to said project. And I've always talked about wanting to work in a space where intangible value was more important. The way that you are able to calculate or metric how successful this was can't really be you really can't, because it's more of visceral value to the vendor and the network than it is about being able to provide any annual statistics, basically wanting to say how much we made off of it, because you don't really make money working this way. High society coincides with creating the hallmark pieces that kind of resonate for a certain time in history for the magazine in terms of like bookkeeping and logging, because it gives a very solid end to one of Anna's job titles within the network, brings in me as the new era within the magazine in the form of this set collection of handbags. It would mean a lot to me for this project to be seen out, because it would be my introductory portfolio that I get to bring up towards my corporate partners. The way that I would look at it is if I ended up going into rooms where I didn't necessarily have to solicit myself, but I did have to introduce myself. The main point was being able to wear a sample or an example of something that I had worked on. Most likely, if I did, being able to provide a USB kit of the entire project. But informally, if we ended up putting it out on our platforms, then they might already have an idea of what I was gonna go up to them. And so the way I would want to explain to my corporate partners is that I wouldn't want you to look at the selection and think about what type of work ethic I've had in order to gain the approval of being able to say that this is a portfolio that you should basically be impressed by, because the vendors involved already do the work for you. So being able to kind of take away the idea that the quality that we're producing these things at are not really the reason why you should work with me. The access and resources to be able to show up with this is because of my boss. It's because of somebody else that was able to, again, give me the resources in order to provide you something like this. But the whole point is for you to judge it based off of, with gaining the access to the keys to this way of working, do you understand what type of appreciation or gratitude I needed to express through it? Was I efficient with the access? Actually impactful products for the ways it could have gone? My little art school portfolio that can provide you some sort of identity that I have, because you can see what type of creative input or capabilities I could do for you and your work. I wanted to give a little profile about the ways that I look at designing things. I'm a piecer together, and I'm not a technical designer. When I was younger and schools gave me opportunities to provide some sort of creative outlet for myself, I always told myself towards the people around me. I'm basically gonna say that like I would bite off of other people. It was more important for me to reflect a certain style than it was about me having to say that my like mind process was geared towards like really trying to design something super original. If you're not so sought after being seen as again somebody that can create something super original out of your mind, it's still a way that you can be helpful to somebody. So with this project, I haven't really focused on trying to show Anna that I have like proprietary ideas with the ways that I want to create new product, what ways I could provide like a new outlook towards certain things that they already have. I also wanted to give the impression that I was knowledgeable about the ways that production happens. So over the course of these past few months, when you look through the ways that I've been able to communicate with her and the details that I become very like retentive about, you kind of get an idea of me needing to exert that I am cognizant of certain things. Again, like small details that if someone were to tell me that it doesn't help that you don't know how to sketch, then at least I'm doing the work as much as I can to show you that I'm not trying to leave you with any follow-up questions for me to not know or have an answer for. Observation of details, again, in general, I try to be really thorough about when I'm going ahead and trying to pitch a design towards a certain piece. But then if it was gonna be about new materials, just like if the idea for me was like, I've never seen this before. I think for the scale of what this project is, I see that to the vendors involved, it is about honoring a something and a something. But for the person doing the tedious work of creating this thing, I really wanted to make sure that when you end up producing something and you have to send it off to the next part of the like production line, you end up leaving your day going home and thinking about what you had just finished with your hands. When you're taking from drawers and you're having to pick out each individual part that goes into like a strass pattern, then you have to label it and you have to put it in like a little plastic, put it in a binder that gets brought to each and every person that needs to make sure that they have enough quantities of each individual piece. That is very tedious. Fingers start to callous because of the hammering into hide. Basically, at the end of the day, I wanted you to be settled with at least saying something like, in the years that I've worked here, I have never seen something like this before. Hopefully, like, my collection also has some sort of like weight in terms of what it meant for your career and in a part of your ego. Like, if you say that you are the most apt to do this thing, these pieces of work are reminding you and providing me an example of why you are the most apt to do it, because it needs you to provide the fullest scope of what your career and being has built you to be capable of doing. I needed to basically like create like a seating chart of like which places would reinforce that idea, being very rational with, again, distributing design processes. Right now, I don't see any two same places, basically designing the same prompt so that by the end of it, it becomes like a this or that comparison. If someone was meant to do something very like important, I needed to choose which place was going to do it so it stood by itself. In terms of like general outlining, you have to know that it was important for me to understand like a seating chart of all these vendors, providing each person a certain assignment, some people sharing ideas, but then when you do, making sure that they stand as very separate products and not two places showing up as a, do you prefer this over this? And then when you do, the difference is so far off in the like final like outcome of each thing that it wasn't meant to be about which place designed the same brief better. Cost efficiency is really important to me. So for the visual impact that you're demanding of a certain material, ergonomics to the end user, when affordability of something was not really the issue, it was just making sure that if I was going to provide them something that had no limitations, I was doing them right by them in terms of something that they would actually want to wear. When a majority of these bags are going to be seen across different people besides me, there are a few things that I bike locked to myself. I had 4 different categories that each vendor was assigned to. So the first category was a vendor being responsible for my complete point of view. So these were vendors that had a wider selection of handbags that I wanted to be seen realized. Other vendors were responsible for master's collections. I wanted to perpetuate these certain vendors as places that I've mastered, in my opinion, done whatever I could to show that I have an experience with the vendor and giving me like a premium product, provide gratitude for the fact that I wasn't actually naturally organic consumer of the house. Couture capstones was another assignment that I gave to certain vendors. So these were pieces that would have never been foreseeable to be seen on a retail level. For the materials that I wanted and for the time I wanted dedicated to each piece, it just didn't really make sense for them to continue working towards each handbag with the intent of making it scalable. Last category that I put was syndical firsts. That is more relating to aristocracy. So I described the product assortment as 4 categories of like the one way going towards WGSN. These were the stylistic directions that I thought my things were moving in. So the first one was high octane or super high fee. These are functional, Hello Kitty. The second is derived, of Mice and Men, The School of Athens, The Odyssey, Mesopotamia, having more to do with mythology or assumed ancient practice. The third is held regard, Lucky Omens, self-governed superstition, emblematic. And then the last tagline is flint to steel. So gauzy, light handle, assurance, commemoration. I have a question. I went to a store in Rome once and wasn't allowed a bag for my niece. I'm an agricultural advocate, specifically for cauliflower. I decided maybe attending a colorist picnic hosted by someone I know you're fond of was the best choice for you to see me in a different light. Is there a reason I wasn't slated for a certain bag I might have wanted? I super appreciate who you are, and thank you for considering expressing yourself through that picnic. I think my main concern right now is not necessarily with you, but the main concern I wanted to bring out with this topic of when I was selecting my candidates across the different places was in the pricing. Shopping line pricing doesn't mean that you bought something on sale. Line pricing is not necessarily getting a great deal at the bargain bin. If you are actually being a person invoiced at a certain price point, understanding that those prices afforded to them are based on career achievements, I kind of hoped that if you were deciding to express an interest towards a specific bag that I didn't necessarily think you were interested in, for me as a young person, the privilege to the pricing that I am trying to offer for such a piece, I just wanted to make sure that you were someone that was actually down for me and not because you were looking for just something to say that you had access to the collection. I also get that if it isn't necessarily a bag that you want to be seen carrying often, these pieces could be seen as something in your closet that you put on a shelf somewhere that you look at every day. If it does serve as a homeware decoration, then that was also a way that I could see my things being appreciated. Anyway, going back to you specifically, if there was something that you wanted that I haven't really, I didn't really know that you wanted, you can't, just ask, go ahead and tell Anna what you want. I don't really want to have an opinion with you because that wasn't the way that I wanted to go with you. So if it was the Chanel bag that you wanted, I wasn't about to place any restrictions on you specifically. Did you let me cut the line because of my kitchen tiling, vocal accord, religion, or stellar physique? I did it because I love you. So now I'm going to run through each vendor and give you a short description of what they've been meant to do with me. We're going to start with LVMH. At Louis Vuitton, I wanted to create a global collection. This was the only brand that I wanted to see if Anna would approve of me being a bit more involved with outside of my job scope, product that we actually distribute on a retail level internationally. I think I was assigned this specific monogram print called Infrablue. I wanted to just curate a selection of handbags that I wanted to be seen in that print. I wanted to develop a series of pant chains. So being able to develop that as a luxury product was really important to me. Also, I wanted to focus on certain like homeware novelties, was something that I hope Louis Vuitton would want me to partake in. At Dior, I focused on two types of shoulder bags. With the Dior DJoy bags, I separated them across 2 different categories in 7 different variations. The first series of DJoy bags would all be shown in lizard, holding metallic pigments in exotic skins in really vibrant renders was something that I was looking forward to, and so I chose 3 very high veneer color choices that just really amazing to look at. And then one of them is going to be in black, more related to between me and Anna, and I wanted Victoire de Castellane. I wanted her to create something specific that was going to be attached to this handbag in particular. And then something that I took across all 4 styles was a certain type of Dior hardware that I wanted seen, tie them all together as like a key feature of what this network wanted to represent as their revisions to the design. And then Dior has a category where they do like artist residencies for more involved handbag designs. So with the DJoy bag, I asked for 3 artists to get involved with creating a piece. The first one was somebody that was involved with a residency in the past. The second one represents my formative career, so that's somebody that I wanted to celebrate for how much they've given me in terms of me being able to provide an experience from that. And then the third one is one that I wanted to keep just for myself, so this was something that I wasn't going to take any other clients for. When Anna allows me to walk into my home for the first time, this was the bag that I felt like was the most right to present to me as symbolic of like all of it. I designed 4 different saddlebags. So the first saddlebag was going to be something that one of the residency artists would also create. You know, silk is really important to me, and it's something that took me across my career, both with wearing it and wanting to exhibit it as like a style trope that I really liked. I really needed them to redevelop this type of print that I saw from this designer, because I've just seen silk done many different ways, and this was the only kind of print that I felt like really stuck with me as super proprietary. So that was something that I really needed to be seen, and this one was the one that I felt like when you like explore like the saddlebag like realm in terms of like all the different types of entries they've gotten in the past with other collaborators, I wanted this one to be our like network's like entry into involving ourselves with that like kind of like category in saddlebags. And then with the second saddlebag, I wanted this to be an entry in their like oblique pattern. I just gave my own personal spin on what type of oblique pattern I wanted. And then the last 2 were white saddlebags. Givenchy was the first house that I deemed as a master's collection vendor. The one thing that I asked for was a Keefe as like a travel piece for myself. Celine was another vendor that I said was a master's collection, so I asked for 2 different bags. Fendi is the last vendor that I wanted to involve myself with at LVMH, and I wanted them to be assigned to creating a couture capstone. 2 variations of mini peekaboos inspired by one of my proudest pieces of photography work. I wanted them to create it in like a well-suited formal appropriation. Then the second one was something that I just got really excited about, being able to partner with this designer that I asked for. And when I was looking at the colors that I wanted for the piece, I just think it's like so fucking fun. Then at Fendi, I also created a coffret of 4 mini baguettes. So this was not something that I would really allow clients to have. This was something between me and Anna and 4 different people. So the quantity run of this would only max out at 6 per design. Oh yeah, sorry, there's 5 actually different variations of this mini baguette. I really avoided this bag in particular because I didn't resonate with it and I didn't get it. And then when they showed me the dimensions, I immediately wanted it so bad, and it's just like it makes me really happy to think about these being the pieces that I decided to keep for myself, because I don't know, I just think it really takes a really specific person to feel proud of acquiring a piece in the ways that I've worked through it. Now I'm going to move on to the Kering brands. At Bottega Veneta, these were going to be the most gallery-driven pieces that I've asked for. I asked for 5 different types of Bermuda sardine bags. So these are going to be larger hauling bags. Nothing is practical about these pieces. These were really like showpieces to me. I was thinking about the ways that I want to be seen as a luxury consumer. And so with the lifestyle that I want to lead in New York, with these 3 handbags, I wanted to show to other people what space in the luxury lifestyle world I actually wanted to exist in. The first bag shows that I value like the education that an institution can provide. And then the 2 other Bermuda bags were things that I found to be really progressive about myself, really represented my interior like design ethos, belong to a certain type of people that likes to expend their resources in such a way. And then I asked for 2 collaborators to go in on us with this, and for Bottega to provide like a residency for them. So the first one is one that I'm not going to go into it. And then the second one was, to me, when the Bermudas from the first half were a bit more me, this last Bermuda was meant to be my reasoning of I'm only allowed to go this way of going through things because I come from this part of why I appreciate having a more lived experience with the ways that I want to specify where exactly I am. I think for me, the way that I want to be seen in downtown, it has to come from an appreciation. I've kind of weathered what the Upper West or Upper East Side is. Person you see at the skate park obviously knows how to dress up for a function that involves velour carpeting and a mezzanine. At Saint Laurent, this vendor I wanted to do a bit of refaceting for. There's the giant travel bag that I really liked. I wanted to see that finished in 2 different renders from the same designers. That was something that I felt was super fun. The last of the Kering brands is Balenciaga, and this one I defined as a master's collection to me. I wanted a designer to go back to the house and revisit basically like something that they had designed before. I asked for one type of design brief that we would see across 2 different sizes of the same bag, just treated in a way that honestly make me like cry thinking about seeing like the white person and taking from what I had seen and then mixing the 2 together to create something so amazing to me. At Chanel, we are creating a couture capstone with them, Coffret 4, and I'm closing out the French brands with Hermes. So this was the vendor that was responsible for what I regarded as syndical firsts. I wanted to develop a different shade of a box calf, so something a lot lighter. I have 2 metallic developments in the works. So one was achieving a certain color tone that I liked, and then the other one was not necessarily a color, but a way of working through treating leather that I found really interesting based off of something that they have done in the past. A few different shades, specific colors that would be taken across exotic materials and suede. I also pitched for a shoulder bag that I thought would be really cool to me, a satin series to come out of this. Last September, I had asked Anna for something, but again, I did ask for this specific request towards a way that they make things in life. But if it does get approved for the ways that I think Anna was intending for this small like seedling that I put into the universe, I can't really have an opinion on if this is going to happen. Proenza Schouler is another vendor that I wanted to take part in a master's collect with, so I asked for 2 bags. And then lastly was the Row. The Row is meant to be a part of a wedding series to me, so this has nothing to do with my personal life, but I'm saying like being married to the mob or like being married to this corporate entity. This was me like trying to actualize like a set of superstitions that I felt like I just believed in for myself. With the Olsen sisters, I wanted to go a different way where, in order for these bags to be produced, it's about the consent from the places that would be involved with this project. It's not a collaborative piece of work. It's not going to be seen in releases as like a 2 to 3 brand like involved like piece of product, but it's like blessings that will be sent to the factories and the people there actually like integrating it into the designs, because in order for these things to happen, you can't add it onto a finished product, and it has to be done implementing it midway through producing the bag. I just really liked how these pieces turned out, and again, they're going to be really important to me, and I think these are also products that are worth me crying over in general, for being how proud I am of not necessarily achieving something original. For the network to be able to do this does show a certain trust and access to the materials. This is something that I kept between me and Kim, so it started out as an idea that I wanted for Kim, and it was like the most involved like greeting card I could have ever handwritten, and then I ended up asking for something for myself. So insanely cool to me. And then the last one that I had just sent off for approval this week was something very, very cool and important to me. It is very, very nice. Very, very cool. I like these pieces a lot. So I wanted to provide Anna my plan of how I want this project to move forward. I would like to just expect a sample of each design that I've created, because some of them are only meant for me and some of them I'm not exactly sure how they're going to turn out. I just don't think it's the most responsible for me, because a part of the reason why I want to sign off on this is for me to actually have like physical presence with the ways that I need to be involved in this with. So I would like to approve the samples of this on site in New York or in Europe, and then from there actually reconsolidating the gifting list with you so that I have actual better moral judgment of understanding for the nature of what these bags are and for the cost it could expend to the company. I just want to have a bit more responsibility when I decide to gift things, because we are not going to be soliciting people for sponsorships or ads or anything in exchange for earning or deserving this thing. If they are given to an influencer, I just don't want them to have to like whore themselves out to say that they earned something, and I would much rather them not receive it at all than see like a piece of my work diluted to like a business transaction like that. And then from there, when I give you a more sensible list of people that I want to provide for, then we can finalize the quantity run and open the line sheet to other clients for consideration of purchase. In terms of output for the network, I wanted this to exist as a photo series on Vogue Runway, so if I could have my own category within the encyclopedia that shows that this is like my graduate program like collection, 20 to 25 lookbook styled by me. For this photo series, I wanted to take a photographer based out of London to shoot this with me, so I chose Kayla Connors, and I wanted her and I to, when I get to New York, I want to provide a treatment, and it's going to be a lot easier too when I can actually physically see what I'm working with. But I wanted her to shoot it, I wanted to style it, and I really, really wanted this to be done at the Frick. There are just so many spaces at the Frick that I had never seen, because I didn't take the time to go there whenever I was in New York. And then while we have access to the Frick, I wanted to take a videographer and shoot a short film for the Vogue YouTube channel. So I wanted it to kind of look like the Freedom trailer. So this one was something that I saw like when we do like update the website, the Condé Nast website, with my headshot, a short like trailer that is put like on the headings of the website for the American Vogue, like or on the Condé Nast like opening page if it turns out that way. And then in longer form, I wanted it to be on the Vogue YouTube channel. I don't want to like perpetuate any ideas right now because it could really, really change, but I'm saying that I would like it to be shot at the Frick, and it being like a video output of probably like 70 to 80% of all the designs that I've partaken in. I think it was a good way for me to at least like share the handbags that I have in my personal collection and since I'm in New York anyway, I think I'll be more proud in New York of being able for people to have a bit of transparency into my personal wardrobe. And then, from there, that's just the way that I saw it.